Welcome to Golden Software's video training for Voxler 3. Voxler is Golden Software's 3D data visualization program. Voxler can create many different 3D map types such as isosurfaces, height fields, VolRenders, contour maps, and well-renders. In this demonstration, I will cover creating and editing VolRender maps. VolRenders use direct volume rendering to display voxels directly on the screen. A voxel is a volume pixel, the smallest distinguishable box-shaped part of a 3D image. Volume rendering is a three-dimensional display of data that simulates the transmission and absorption of light through the points in the volume. Light rays are cast through the volume, where the particles within the volume simultaneously emit and absorb light. The color of an individual pixel on the screen is computed by compositing the contributions from each particle intersecting the ray. This allows visualization of inhomogeneity inside objects with appropriate adjustment of the opacity. I'll open a new project by clicking File, New. Click File, Import, select goldconcentration.dat and click Open. The default settings are appropriate for loading the data. Click OK in both the Data Import options and the Select Data Columns dialogs. Click on the data file to select it. Choose Network, Computational, and Gritter. Click on the Gritter module to select it, and in the Property Manager, click the Begin Gridding button. When the gridding is complete, choose Network, Graphics Output, VolRender. Initially, all of the gridded data is shown in the VolRender, looking like a solid cube. To change the properties of the VolRender, click once on it in the Network window to select it. All of the properties are shown in the Property Manager. The Input option shows the module name that is connected to the VolRender. The Render method is the method used to draw the VolRender on the screen. Choices include 2D textures, 3D textures, and paletted textures. The availability of the 2D textures, 3D textures, and paletted textures is a function of your video graphics card and driver. The Color Map allows you to map each value to a specific color. You can use one or more of the predefined color maps by clicking the grayscale color bar and choosing another color from the drop-down list. You can define additional color maps or change the properties of the currently selected color map by clicking the ellipses button to the right of the color scale bar. This opens the color map editor, which will be discussed in a future video. The opacity option controls the opacity or transparency of the VolRender. The larger the value, the more opaque the isosurface is. A value of 1 is fully opaque, and a value of 0 is fully transparent. To change the opacity value, click and drag the dragger to a new value or highlight the existing value and type in a new one from 0 to 1. The composition option controls how voxels are composited along the viewing rays. Maximum intensity uses the brightest pixel along each viewing ray, resulting in a display similar to an X-ray image. Note that there is no shading effect in this method. Sum intensity adds the values of the pixels along each ray. Alpha blending combines the pixels using a blending function. The interpretation option controls the process of estimating the height of a surface in areas where no original data points exist. Nearest neighbor applies the closest grid node value on the original grid to the grid node value in the new grid. This is the fastest resampling method, but it can result in distorted output of the original grid and output grid in a different size. Trilinear Interpolation uses a weighted average of 8 input nodes to interpolate a new value. Some lattice node values in the original grid may be applied to more than one output lattice node. Some of the input lattice nodes may not be used at all. This produces a smoother result. The Legend section controls the display of the legend. To display the legend, check the box next to Show a Legend. The Legend Properties section will be discussed in a future video. This concludes the video training for VolRender creation and properties in Voxler. If you have any additional questions, please contact Golden Software.